What is up, guys? Marcellus Williams, aka TheSwolefessor, aka the Texas Titan, here to educate you on health, fitness, social well-being. Today, guys, I want to talk to you really briefly about two topics: if it fits your macros, and then the proper way to train your abs. And they're going to kind of coincide. But anyway, let's get right into it.
I am the greatest.
Someone look color! Someone look color! Someone look dash! Someone look color!
Alright, guys, so with the holidays coming to an end, the new year getting ready to start, as you guys can probably imagine, as a trainer, I'm getting lots and lots of questions specifically related to, like, cutting, the best way to train abs, how can I make sure my abs are looking on point for spring break, summer, everything like that. So I just wanted to address a few things, guys, as far as this topic. Like I said, they're going to kind of coincide. So the first thing to understand is that, guys, your abs are just like any other muscle group. You train them the same way you do any other muscle group, meaning, 2 to 3 times a week as far as frequency, that's optimum frequency. And then, of course, you have to progressively overload. You have a lot of people where, they'll come in and they'll do a bunch of random different ab exercises. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of variation, nothing wrong with trying different things. But you need to be consistent with certain movements in order to really make progress. Meaning, what I like to do is I like to pick 1 or 2 movements that I always do, no matter what ab routine I'm doing, that I always do, throw in at the end, of a leg day, for example, and make sure I progress on those movements. I myself don't have an ab day. I just hit my abs, 2-3 times a week from time to time, either like on a leg day or at the end of a push day, something like that. And what I think is important for people to understand is that you want to have like some type of weighted abdominal movement in there, so that way you can progress the same way you would on anything else. You do 3 sets of 10, 4 sets of 10, whatever, and then you can bump the weight up to the next possible increment. You want to make sure that you're doing that, because yes, you can progressively overload by adding reps to bodyweight movements, but you get to a point where, like I've said before, that becomes more like muscular endurance. So even if you want to throw in a bunch of like burnout bodyweight movements afterward, that's fine, but you want to have some type of weighted abdominal movement as far as really building up your abdominal muscles. Because basically, guys, it's like it's like any other muscle. You have to progressively overload. Like I can't even make it any simpler than that. You have to make sure that you're building the muscles up thick, because that's what you want. You want to build the muscles, increase the size of the muscle mass. Like me, like even now, see, I'm not like at my leanest by any means, but more or less, you can see my abs. And I'm around 14-15% body fat right now, which leads into the second thing I wanted to address, guys. People often say that, abs are built in the kitchen. This, of course, is not true. Abs, like any other muscle, they're built in the gym. Now, as far as seeing your abs, yes, that has to do with your diet. Not so much in the sense of what you're eating, but how much you're eating. Meaning, like any other muscle, you have to have your body fat percentage at a certain, low enough to where you can see the muscle mass, you can see all the definition. But that's not just with abs, guys. That's with any muscle. And more often than not, you'll have a lot of people who say, like, oh, the magic number is 10. You have to be at 10% body fat in order to see your abs. Well, I just showed you guys that's clearly not the case. Like, it depends on different individuals, for the mere fact that you have to keep in mind some people store more fat in different areas than others. Some people may hold a lot of fat in their core, so maybe they do have to get to 10% body fat in order to see their abs. Other people may hold fat, in their chest, in their back, their love handles. So it just varies. It depends. But there is no magic number for everybody of how low your body fat has to be. It just depends. But as I've mentioned, building your abs up more thickly through progressive overload is going to help you to where even if you're at a slightly higher body fat percentage, you'll still be able to see your abs relatively well. So that's another thing, guys. Abs aren't some special muscle that respond to certain foods that you eat either. There's no such thing, guys, as any magical food, as I mentioned, that's going to tone you up or bulk you up, in the sense that, okay, for example, a lot of people feel like, okay, if I eat a bunch of lean meats, fruits, vegetables, that's going to help my abs. It doesn't matter, guys. At the end of the day, as I've said before, what you eat matters for your health. How much you eat matters as far as your body composition. That's a scientific fact. There's no way around it. There's no arguing with it. It's no different than arguing that humans need air to breathe, or that, if you go too long without water, you'll die. It's just the way it is, guys. In the sense of, if I have somebody who's eating nothing but McDonald's, but I have them in a caloric deficit, meaning they're not going over, that number that's set for their caloric deficit, they're hitting their macros, that person's going to stay lean or going to burn fat. Whereas if I have someone who's eating a bunch of good, healthy home cooked meals, but I have them eating in a surplus, they are going to not burn fat. They're going to gain a little bit of fat, as well as while building muscle. That's just the way it works, guys. Calories in versus calories out is a very simple concept, yet it's something that's been misconstrued time and time again. Now, a lot of people will say, well, why is it that when you see people who eat really clean, they seem to be a lot leaner than people who don't? Well, that's just for the mere fact that, guys, that most quote unquote clean foods, I don't really believe in like clean or dirty foods. I believe you eat based off your goals and your needs, but most home cooked clean foods are less calorically dense. It's as simple as that. They're less calorically dense, and that's why a lot of people eat that way, because they can eat more food to stay full, but it's not as calorically dense, so they won't go over their deficit number for their calories. Whereas if you're eating more fast food, chances are that's more calorically dense food, so chances are you're not going to be in a deficit. But at the end of the day, it's not the food itself. Like I said, it's just the calories. And like I said, if I have someone who's tracking their calories and they do eat out and they're making sure they're hitting their macros, they're going to look exactly the same as they would if they were to hit the same macros with cleaner food. There's no such thing as like, oh, well, processed foods have way more calories than what they show you, things like that, in the sense of you may not know exactly how many calories are in. Like, let's say McDonald's says that one of their burgers is like 500 calories or something like that, and maybe in actuality it's 600, but the point is you have a consistent number to work with. And so long as you work with those numbers and play with those numbers, you'll see what your body responds to, and you'll be good to go. Because the only way you can accurately measure something anyway is if you like pretty much grow it, measure it and cook it all yourself. And most people aren't necessarily going to do that, necessarily have the time to do that. So I think it's just important for you guys to keep in mind that, once again, what you eat matters for your health. How much you eat matters for your body composition. There's no way around that. So just keep that in mind when it comes to like, deficit, surplus, but specifically training your abs too. There is no special diet for your abs. There just isn't. And then the third point that I want to address, guys, which is extremely important, is understanding that there's other ways to train your abs than just, crunches and things of that nature. Our abs were made for stabilization. They're part of our core. Like our abs, our lower back is part of our core. So when you do things like heavy squats, heavy deadlifts, especially when you're doing them beltless, you get a lot of core activation in doing that. Your core has to keep yourself stable. Your abs have to stay tight in order to keep you upright when you're performing squats, or to keep you in a tight position when you're performing a deadlift. So that's going to do plenty for your abs as well, guys. Like I said, used to hit my abs 3 times a week. But now I'm at the point where, when I remember to, I'll still try to do that. But more often than not, I don't. But my abs pretty much stay on point just from those heavy compound movements. So that's pretty much it, guys, as far as like abs and diet and stuff like that. Like there's nothing special about it. You don't train it any differently than you would any other muscle group. So don't get in this mindset. I know it's been convoluted with a bunch of bro science and BS that, oh, you got to eat certain magical foods to make your abs pop, or you have to train them this way, you have to train a failure, you have to do all this different convoluted. It's not that complicated, guys. Like I said, keep it simple. A lot of things related to fitness are pretty simple, and keep it scientific, meaning, guys, calories in versus calories out has been proven time and time again. There are some people who are going to tell you that you have to eat a certain way, and it's just not true, guys. Now, I'm not saying that if it fits your macros, as far as tracking your macros, necessarily works for everyone, in the sense that some people basically can't eat in moderation, meaning if they track their their calories and they eat out fast food, but they can only afford to eat like 2 meals out, because when they hit their calories, they'll be hungry later in the day, and because of that, that will cause them to want to go and eat more. So it's not that those foods magically screwed them, but it's that because of their own appetite, or their personal individual needs, they want to eat more, basically. So for people like that, it's easier for them to just eat quote unquote cleaner foods, because they know they won't go over their calories, in the sense of, okay, I can eat a bit more, stay full, but like I said, at the end of the day, it's the calories that matter. It's because that food isn't calorically dense, they can afford to eat a little bit more. It's not like that for everybody, though. Some people maybe don't have a huge appetite. Some people, maybe they can eat once, twice a day and be good. And for people like that, maybe it's better for them to go out and eat and enjoy a meal that they want eating out, and so long as they don't go over their calories, they're good. But I just want to express that, guys, because it's such a simple topic that's been so overly complex and convoluted. But that is pretty much it, guys. That is how you train your abs. That is how you eat if you want abs. Really, any muscle group. I already have videos before, as far as deficits, maintenance, surplus, how to calculate all that. So go ahead and check that out, guys. If you have any other questions, you already know, leave your boy a comment down below. Like, share, subscribe. Keep it simple, specific, scientific. I'll catch y'all later.
I am the greatest.
Someone look color. Someone look power.